So me and Keith out here. I'm down here on the dirt road. Hold on. I got to do my traditional. There go that GA red clay. And I got Keith McCants over here with me.
That's right.
Keith, pardon my pronoun, but what us gonna do? What us gonna do about the political climate? Just what are your general thoughts, right?
What we got to do right now is look where we are. We're on a dirt road. This is Georgia. You can say red clay, but it's dirt road. Democrats need to get down here. These are the areas where the Democrats need to get to. These dirt roads, pecan orchards, you name it, deer, whatever. This is where the Democratic Party got to get back to the roots, the grassroots. You got to get out of the cities. You got to get these corporate rooms to get down to the people like myself and Ted and others, because it's a disconnect right now, a cultural disconnect right now, and you're losing us by the day. So whoever has the backbone or the fortitude to get down here on this red dirt now.
Oh, that red dirt.
I'm in my boots.
You don't know anything about that, do you?
I buy some more. Ain't worried about it. I buy some more.
But do we even trust candidates who don't have dirty boots and jeans?
No.
Tell the truth and shame the devil. Keith and I turn around, you see people running for office and they come down here. Keith, what's the most you ever paid for a pair of jeans in your life?
Honestly, about 75.
What? That's 50 more than I pay. Hey, but you see people out here in true religion jeans and them old tight jeans, and like, wait a minute, you cannot run for office. The minute you start campaigning and you get south of Houston County, you need to pull over there to Buc-ee's and put some jeans.
What y'all need to have on, like them cowboy boots or work boots like Ted got on, that's what you got to have on. The blue jeans, the Wranglers and stuff. I wear Wranglers, okay. I wear Wranglers.
Like a truck driver.
Lees, you know what I'm saying? I got on
Levi's. I got on Levi's too.
Everything like that. So the Democrats got to get back down here on the dirt road.
They got to. And because Keith, here's the part. Keith and I talk about this all the time. It breaks down like this. You have Metro Atlanta, which has more people than the whole state of Alabama.
Yes.
Now, let's just be honest and tell the truth, shame the devil. Given the choice, they'd rather win the elections. Democrats would rather win the elections in Metro Atlanta without us, right?
Bingo.
Then they say, oh, but if we have to go somewhere else, we'll go Macon, Columbus, Augusta, Savannah, Albany, right? Those other 6 cities. But go ahead.
And let me emphasize, Savannah is not rural Georgia. Albany is not rural Georgia. Macon nor Columbus, okay? Get out of your head. Savannah is not rural Georgia. What you see right here, this is rural Georgia, y'all.
This is rural Georgia. This right here. Hey, this pine trees and pecan groves. Hey, Keith, well, check this out right here, though. Right. And see, that's what part that gets me is that, and see, if you look over, it's rough to tell somebody, I'm going to come there and tell you how to think. Right. I give the Republicans credit, even though they're dead wrong a lot. The Magna movement is wrong. But like conservatives, we've always had as many conservative friends. Keith, you are basically a conservative Democrat. Right. I'm a moderate Democrat. Right. And so, when you look over, this is what we think. The people who give big donor money nationally to the Democrats, that's from Miami to Boston, from Seattle down to San Diego, throw in Houston, Chicago. Those folks are billionaire liberals, right? You know, with emphasis on B. And they say, well, here's the agenda. But you look over, and that's not necessary. Now, Keith, you're a welder by trade, right?
By trade, yes.
Okay. Now, we know this. I created the cross-generational issues 2-3 years ago, right? Keith and I, can we just talk about real issues? Can we not talk about, I knocked on your door, and I'm telling you, you got to go vote.
Yes.
You didn't tell me what it's like you're talking to a child, right? And if you give Republicans credit, even though Republicans are wrong sometimes, but they'll turn around and ask the people, what do you want, and try to get the people what they want.
Right.
But when you're in a plant, all politics boils down to money. Yeah. When you and your wife are at the kitchen table and y'all balancing all stuff, even before you had a wife, when you worked at the Bluebird bus plant, it's nothing for a plant manager to come in and say, Brian Kemp is important to this industry. You know, and a person, hey, flip it. You might be Republican. This is one of the peanut capitals of the world.
Yes, it is.
Sylvester, Georgia, Enterprise, Alabama.
That's right.
That's why. And then you turn around and say, but there are peanut farmers who say, Sanford Bishop does the same thing for me, for my farm, that Charles Hatcher did before it, that Saxby Chambliss did, that Johnny Isakson did,
Right.
that Austin Scott does, right? But I don't like division, Keith. I don't like anybody telling somebody you can't talk to this person.
Right.
Oh, don't even talk to those people.
Right.
That's one thing about it. Once you win an office, but I can tell you right now, Keith, when I think about all the dang money that people put in, see, the game has changed since we came along. It's not even really about saying like who's going to win the election. Right. You know who won the election? The people who deposited $40,000 cash into their accounts. They're not even a political consultant.
Right.
That's just somebody like, oh, I'm going to get you the votes. I'm going to get you.
That's it. That's all it is.
I just saw a fox. But you got your pocket knife with you. We might have to cut our way out. Oh, really? See, that peacekeeper. Go back to my 20 cross-generational issues. When you talk about gun ownership, people here own guns illegally.
Yes.
I'm not even supposed to walk down here. They're a wild boar.
Right.
You know, they're dogs that get loose. You're supposed to, that's a person peacefully owning a gun. But if you turn around and look at people like, you're not supposed, when VP Harris said that she owns a gun, living in San Francisco, of course she's supposed to own a gun living in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But see, that's why there are different kinds of Democrats, and that's okay.
Right.
When I became a Democrat, rural white, the Dixiecrats,
Yes.
who were segregationists 15 years before that, they were still part of the Democratic Party. So how you win an election is to decide, I'm sitting at a table with some people who aren't like me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's okay. And that's the thing that disturbs me, not about the conservative movement, but about like when Trump is like, no, once you win the election, I'm going to call somebody's name. My congressman is Austin Scott. Nicer guy you ever met. His daddy, surgeon, repaired my mama's name. Everybody from Tifton is like, man, I love Austin Scott.
Right.
When Austin ran the first time against Jim Marshall, I voted.
Boy, that's my guy.
That's your guy. I remember when Fanica ate him up. I'm gonna leave that alone. I remember that's when I first knew the power of Fanica Miller, who's a black. Fanica said, "Wait a minute, Jim Marshall said something at breakfast and said something different on the other side of town." And I said, "Oh, Fanica is a real one, but Fanica don't play the radio." Yeah. But in that case, as soon as Austin Scott won that office, the Republicans like, don't go talk to those Democrats.
Right.
Now we know. I love me some Jack Kingston. I used to date this pretty Spellman in Jack's office. So I was over there with him all the time. I used to be at the RNC.
Right.
But when we go over there, Jack would say, I have a meeting at Savannah State, like we had at Albany State, in a theater classroom, hold 150 people. Jack would go sit there on the stage alone, no staff, and answer questions for 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
And all of them disagreed with him. And they said, but you're real. Don Johnson was like that.
Right.
You know, I'm real. I'm going to come, if I'm elected to office, I'm going to come explain. But Keith, the future of the Democratic Party, by the time we get in this old Volvo, boy, I told somebody, I'm not going to say who, I told Republicans, if I look over, and people keep spending money over and over and over again, and they come back and say, daggum, Ted, it turns out that y'all were right. It's not rocket science. You have to look at people. Let's just about it up, Keith. There's 20% of voters that are hard to get to reach.
Yes.
All right, Keith, how do you reach them?
It's a variety of ways you can reach these voters, but you have to go to where they are. That's my solution. Democrats nowadays, they don't want to go to where these voters are. They want to stay at arm's length and figure, well, I can go talk to him or her or whoever, but it's not going to make it a difference. I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone with the either progressives or liberals, where you got moderates or conservatives like myself. Either people who don't vote, who are not regular voters. Those are the voters that we talked about this election cycle and trying to reach. But the party, the Harris campaign, the state Democratic Party, no one didn't do anything to reach these voters, despite $1.5 billion.
Jesus, a lot of money.
And you lose Georgia by only 120,000 votes. Now think if you had about $2 million on the ground, that may have made a difference. But Ted, let me tell you something. I mean, from the time we started conversing and doing things in 2006 to now, the game has changed now. It's like if you're a moderate, you're a Republican light, you have to be this, or you're not a Democrat. The Republican Party, they're like that now. The Democratic Party trying to get like that. Because let me tell you something right now. Men, black men like myself, own guns, drive trucks, have a young family. We're the ones are not a swing voter. Now, some of y'all may disagree, but it's true. Because 3 or 4% of us were to stay home in 26, Democrats do not have a shot. That is just my opinion. But then again, black women has been going to the well over and over and over again, and they're worn out. They're tired. They're tired. So if they're on the sidelines thinking, why here and campaigning for this person or that person, and look at the result, then they're going to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie. I
It
mean,
becomes a pickup.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm more of an independent nowadays, although I'm somewhat still a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly, like I said, though, we voted Republican in the past and things like that. And we're open to that
in the primary for sure.
We're not closed-minded people.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's so many answers. There's really not one answer to the solution. Like I said, me and Ted, we out here, we've been in this thing for a long time, and we've been saying pretty much the same things for the last 2 decades.
Like a broken record.
And now it seems like ding, 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 ding. Oh, now it's dawned on everyone, yeah, we got a problem. Okay, now you know the problem. How you want to fix it? If you want to answer, ask me and Ted and I. We'll tell you.
Yeah. And that's why I don't even. It's gonna. And really, truth be told, I'll say 2 things real fast. If Herschel Walker would have given us $200,000, he'd be up there as a senator right now. You know what I'm saying? Because, and by the way, don't fool yourself either. Stacey Abrams, love her for what she did. Stacey Abrams, love her for Ossoff Warnock, which at that time. But let me just say this right here, right now. It's about issues. It's about taking time and looking at people and saying, I've got 2 years before the election. Hats off to Cliff Albright, Fanika Miller, Tosh Brown, and Black Voters Matter. They are here on these dirt roads all the time trying to say how, and then by the way, and they are open enough to say, well, what's next? Because we did this and we did that. But you got to take time and have people say, these are real issues that are relative to your life. World War III. Keith is a tradesman. Now we know that the people who came home from Vietnam and Korea who became tradesmen, they're retiring now. Plumbers, glazers, brick masons, electricians. You cannot build things anymore because these kids, but they all want to bounce a basketball, right? And they want to rap 1 2 1 2 on the mic. But they could make $100,000 by their 27th birthday if they would just keep their nose clean and learn a trade.
I'll give you a prime example. The Hyundai plant being built in Bryan County. They want to reach 8,400 capacity, right?
People?
Yes.
Jeez
but
Louise.
Right now, they're only running one shift. They have a little over 1,500 people out there working. But they want to hit their max of 8,500 by 2026, 2027. And right now, we don't have the people to fill those jobs out there. Because also the pay is a non-union job. Okay. And the pay is depending on the job. If it's $17 an hour for this job, right, $20 an hour if you're on the assembly line. The good money is salary, or if you're a maintenance, or maybe you even a welder. Okay. Depending on experience. Because I know I applied for a job out there too, and they called me. And I've been welding. I got 23 years of welding experience. They said, well, Mr. McCants, we'll start you around 25. I'm like, no, that's too low. Yeah. That's too low. 25, I made that in 2010.
At Bluebird, at the bus factory, right?
Well, not
in 2010? Jeez, you're right.
I made that at Southern Perfection when I worked in Byron. I made that. When I was at Bluebird, I was on the assembly line. I didn't do the production welder initially. Okay. But even Bluebird, I mean, they paid well, but they didn't pay a whole lot neither. But anyway, if you're looking for a job starting off, getting yourself on your feet, I say go to Hyundai. They're saying all the good things, the benefits are good, but the pay is crappy.
I mean, but see, Keith, this is what I had about, if we ever had a 20-minute show every once a month, we have all the scripts already. Remember, we talked about those 20 cross-generational issues. I had a blog post once called PECs. I guess this is PECs. So politically, economically, culturally, socially. That's what we have to, people are like, wait a minute. Who's going to really help the black community as far as who wins the election?
Right.
First of all, you help the black community by helping your individual self.
Agreed.
If these kids would just keep their nose clean, stay away from smoking that cheap weed, and then just say, okay, I'm going to work at Dollar Tree or Walmart in high school. Right? I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not trying to live above my means. And like we were saying earlier, there's a former lieutenant governor who had an initiative about the trade schools. If you want to make money, if your family is dirt poor and you want to make as much money as possible, as soon as possible, you don't study French art at Valdosta State in Fort Valley or Albany State. You go to a technical school. And Keith, this was part of the 20 cross-generational issues. It blows my mind that these kids today, they can take, it's called CTAE, Career Adult Training, but that's the coordination between the high schools and the technical schools. So these kids, the baseball team at Worth County High, these white boys, I'm out there at every baseball game as a booster, but I'm sitting over there, they graduate and they're halfway through with their diploma in construction. Through the technical college. And then bam, come out, make a piece of money. If you decide to start your own business, how many white welders did you see? Never were in trouble. Well somewhere and say, Daddy, I'm 26 years old, thinking about owning my own shop. You've been a good kid. Here's $10,000, and that's how money follows money. Instead of spending money trying to keep Pookie and Ray Ray out of jail. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they're in jail because, hey, crack is an issue back in the day, but that meth nowadays, all of these. So you have to look at everything in a comprehensive way, not just who's going to win the election, who's going to lose the election. Keith, you didn't see it because you've been busy, but I made a video the other day. I said, is it a possibility that can Trump be good for my black community? Yeah, of course he can. Why? Because number one, the government don't care about you. So, hey, Keith, once you realize nobody's going to help you, then you have to go ahead and hitch up your boots. And be the best you can be.
That's true.
And so, and that's why even in the Democratic Party, sometimes, the road to hell's paved with good intentions. We always say that. But Democrats just can't be the people. Okay, Congressman Ryan from Ohio used to say, we need Democrats who take a shower before work and Democrats who take a shower after work. And people are like, what does that mean? You need folks who work for a living, because, and then Keith, and I'm gonna say it and I can get in trouble, don't tell Stacey Abrams I said this. But if you look over and say, you can't be a party that's based on trying to help people who aren't helping themselves. You're spending all your time and energy going but wait a minute, this person got locked up. And of course, there's some issues like that, and they should be concerned. But the first thing you have to do is take care of your base, take care of home. Keith now lives in the 1st Congressional District. I live in the 8th Congressional District. I bet you the Democratic Party didn't spend $20,000 in the 8th Congressional District. And by the way, go back to when we met. You're friends with Mark Taylor. I remember when I was a kid. I remember when Governor Busby from Albany, Lieutenant Governor from Atlanta. Then you have Roy Barnes from Atlanta, Mark Taylor, Lieutenant Governor from Albany. You have to have balance. You have to have balance. Because South Georgia's not going to sit back and say, we were talking earlier. I'm gonna shout out. Nikita Hemingway, is a cool person. She calls me on the phone. We talk. Dukes is a friend. Ad Commissioner, I want Lamario Brown. I want somebody. I need to see out of those constitutional offices. I need to see somebody from South Georgia. But more importantly, let me calm down. We need to start talking about issues now, like a slow drip. Because Keith, that's how they got the Republicans. I mean, how do you spend your time? I watch Sports Center like everybody else. I look at Country Wayne. You don't even know what Country Wayne is, do you?
I do Country Wayne.
Oh, I look at Country Wayne. When we leave, I'm gonna look at Country Wayne. I know. I watch those skits every day. But that's a guilty pleasure. But I'm gonna watch the news for 10, 15 minutes every day. If you work Monday through Friday, let me flip over and watch Meet the Press. And by the way, and give me some balanced news, because if you don't have better enough, because let's be honest, people can say, my classmates will tell you Ted, everything I hear is just about how horrible a person Kamala and Joe Biden are. That's what you're listening to. That's not news. That's fake news. And to be honest with you, sometimes MSNBC is almost slanted to the left.
They are.
See, Keith, I'm glad I'm not your age because I grew up on real journalism. Right? I grew up on Walter Cronkite, David Brinkley. What?
Jack Brinkley.
Oh man, my man John Chancellor. Like if you on the news, hey, Walter Cronkite would say, in Vietnam today this happened, and he would take his glasses off and say, in my opinion, don't mix your opinion in with the news.
Right.
So Keith, if somebody knocks on the doors over here and they're out here campaigning, they don't need to go out here and say, I'm here to tell you what's important.
Right.
I'm here to tell you that it's important that you formulate your own opinion. But other than that, but if the Democrats are just, and by the way, I will say this too, I'm not going to beat up on the Democrats because one way,
you should.
that Trump, you can beat up on them, but one thing about old Trump, go back to Jeb Bush. I like both of those Bush boys. The second Bush president did more for Africa than any other president before that, right?
Right.
He's Michelle Obama's best friend. They're like brothers and sisters, right?
Okay.
But then Jeb said when he was running against Trump the first time, if I have to lie and say things that aren't true in order to win, I'd rather lose. And they told him, hey, guys, Keith, and that's what it's the end justified the means. To say in order to win an election.
I don't understand that because that's what just about all of them do. They lie to win, right? A person they will believe a lie before they believe the truth. Excuse my tongue tied, but it's just a fact. So I understand the whole righteous stance and everything like that. But come on, I ain't gonna say all politicians lie, but majority of them do.
Yeah,
they tell a lie, just get over it. But let me say one thing real quick. Me and Ted, we're one of probably 5 rural Georgia political operatives here. Okay. It ain't many of us here. And you got a race coming up in 2026. That is going to be the one going to determine whether or not what the Democratic Party is going to do. And there's a lot of infighting going on right now. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm here to tell you right now, guys like my Ted and I mean, at some point, it gets tiring. It's gotten old. It's been old. And you keep going out here getting these, again, people who are not from this area. Look behind me. You got all these pine trees and stuff. Remind me of my dad's property.
Oh, yeah.
Up in Talbot County.
Oh, that's so.
The dirt roads and things like that. You have to come here. When Ted picked up this dirt right here, when you pick up this dirt, you got to get down here on the ground. Yeah. I'm in my $95 boots.
$95.
I got them on. They were on sale. Yeah, I got them on sale. So, but I'm out here in my boots. I don't care where I'm at. I mean, I get some more. But the thing about it is that Democrats got to get out here. You got guys like my Ted and I. We down here ready to assist. But the days of giving out free advice and doing this stuff, that's gone now. That's gone.
Hey, if I get in that vehicle right now and a Republican calls me and says, I'm running for governor, I got 100,000, can you help me? I mean, when you want to start? Hey, because Keith, yeah. I mean, and by the way, and when you people who call you all the time and they ask for advice, hey, advice this, advice that, and then you come to find out, at the end of the day, Tommy Williams from down in Thomasville, Georgia, worked for Senator Nunn for a long time. His father was the first black mayor of Thomasville. Okay. Tommy said, you know what, they said, you could be on a dais and making all kind of speeches, but who is at the table when the money is counted? And see, Keith, this is the naive part. Because people can sit back and say, well, what's the best part? You know who won the election? The people who made $30, $40, $100,000 as consultants. Follow the money, you'll find out what really happens. And see, that's what's so silly about the Republicans. I will make a message to my Republican friends right now. If you're a Republican and you're a regular Republican like Saxby, like Isaacs, like Austin Scott, but not the magnet I'm mean and I'm mad, you could deal a death blow to the Democratic Party right now if you wanted to. Because all you have to do is say, hey, notice that Keith and Ted in these... When you see the bus, I'm not calling people's names on buses. When you're running for Senate, you're running for office, and you pull down here and say, okay, we're going to pull down to Tifton, to Mosher, to Camilla, to Sylvester. Okay, well, we'll have as many people. It's just a photo op. Then, Keith, I'm going to call it, the kids have blue hair. Yep. I don't know what you call that nose ring thing that goes out like that. Yeah. But hey, maybe, but I don't go to Atlanta and try to tell people how to vote on the West End or Peachtree or Bankhead or whatever. It's not my thing. I don't really even go to Albany. Hey, we're not gonna call somebody's name, but bus comes down here campaigning. We always, when you come to a rural area, they go to downtown Albany and say, "Okay, Ted, are you happy? We're in a rural area."
Really?
Boy, I tell you, and I voted for Nikki Haley because in that case they just tell you and see Keith. But by the way, people are like, well, but Keith, you know how that goes. You get in a Democratic meeting and you say, wait a minute, we can get X number. Stacey Abrams clearly is a genius. Stacey Abrams said, Stacey Abrams used to say, it's not my job to turn Catholics into Baptists. It's my job to get Baptists to go to church. So metaphorically, she would say, the white Southerners who left for the Republican Party, I don't necessarily need to get them back. I just need to get Pookie and Ray Ray to vote. But Pookie and Ray Ray ain't gonna vote.
No.
Pookie and Ray Ray tell you, will sit up and say, you know what, Ted, that government has nothing to do with me. Dude, you live in the projects. You live in some pretty lovely projects. The government has everything to do with you.
And I don't care how many barbecues you have. I don't care how many fish fries. You can have all that. You can get the trimmings, everything, the free drinks, everything. It's still not going to go vote.
And see, in that case, and here's the risk. So ever since Ms. Abrams and her brilliance almost won the governor's mansion the first time, then what she did is to say, well, okay, let's do more to try to get those people. And it's not just people, it's Pookie Ray. It's, you want the Hispanic vote. So you were concerned about how the kids were treated at the border. I've been all down through Latin America. I've been through countries in South America where people come into this country. You got to seal the border.
Yes.
And Trump is probably right. And by the way, and you put people out, and we're in the ag community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who picks the crops? And you ask the Republicans, let them have a pass through women and say, well, who's going to pick the crops once you get rid of those people?
Exactly.
By the way, Keith, when you go back and say, minimum wage. Mm-hmm. As much as Ms. Abrams and everybody tried to push for minimum wage reform, in theory, if a Republican was standing right here next to us, and we got 40 Republican friends who would say, okay, I'll tell you, you take the people, you stop the flood of cheap labor coming across the border. Then you turn around and you take people and you send them home. But right over there, right down 40 miles down the road, Saxby-Chambliss area, Moultrie, Georgia, the Packer Hawks, who's going to pick those crops down there?
Right.
Pookie and Ray Ray. And Pookie and Ray Ray said, well, hold on. I don't pick crops for for $10 an hour because I'm too good for that. But how in the world, Keith, there are times in Albany they have to close down the McDonald's on the east side. Nobody to work. Nobody. So a person can say, hey, I've got 2 kids. I'm 22 years old. I'm a single parent. I can't feed kids off $10 an hour.
No.
But see, that's when you have to learn how to, Keith, I'm going to say right now, I was for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden because I had a student loan and they forgave that student loan. That's real.
Right.
Minimum wage going up. That's real. So when you turn around and look at some people and say, like, you have to look at these public policies and say, how do they direct? And now, what's happening? President Trump won, right? President Trump was talking about tariffs. People talk about those tariffs could cause everything in Dollar Tree came from China. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So again, if you spend your time watching, Keith, if you can name more SEC quarterbacks than you can name United States senators,
something wrong.
if you can name more NFL running backs than you can name governors, and I'm not saying people are like, I don't really care about it. It doesn't have anything to do with me. So Republicans, now everybody Democrats, leave right now. I want to talk to Republicans. Republicans, let your horrible policies hit those people first, right? Because the people who actually voted, you know what I'm saying? It's in this case, and again, Keith, I'm not trying to be preaching. I know other people have other things to do. Like you've got kitchen table issues. Keith, utility costs.
Right.
I mean, if you sit up and tell me, like, I don't know what Trump is going to do with fracking and with oil, but I know that people's utility bills here can be in an old house $700-800 a month, right? So what would Joe Biden do about that? What would Kamala Harris do? Infrastructure improvement. You go back and strip those houses down to and those are jobs. Right. See, infrastructure jobs are jobs. So you put people to work doing. But I tell you one thing: you're not going to be able just to sit at home, not vote, and then turn around and say, "Well, the government should try to help me," because you dug that way. Keith, Keith's been more successful than I am. I am my own worst enemy, and I will acknowledge that. But the world don't owe me anything. But when you got an attitude like the world owes me this, and then by the way, Keith, when it comes down to raising children, see, it should be a cultural or societal thing. Mm-hmm. If you have children with somebody, if you're planning on having children with somebody and have a nice life, that kind of thing, And even with the kids.
Right.
If you let Keith, I know Pearl Harbor was hard, but but if you look over, the Japanese clap back, even though they're supposed to be our friends, with that PlayStation and the Xbox, because their kids are doing algebra, and our kids are over here.
Playing the game.
Keith, you work at a plant. Have you ever seen a co-worker at a plant who say, yeah, I got to get home, and I'm going to speak to my kids, so they're playing video games, they're 16, and I'm going to cut the grass. My daddy in his grave, your daddy, Keith, could you imagine your daddy getting off work and coming home and doing yard work and you were 16?
Man, tell you something. He would do that. He had a ride on more. He can, but still though. But see, the thing about it, I'm glad you said that. You got some Democrats that were pushing for a livable wage. You remember that? That means people who sit at home and get a living wage from the government.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, what the hell? You're giving people who get up every day, sit on their butt.
Like socialism.
Yeah, like soap operas all day long, play games, and get money from the government. While guys like myself, who out here busting 12 hours, got carpal tunnel syndrome on his hand, tennis elbow right here, tendonitis, it's never gonna go away in this shoulder, and I got a bum knee right here, going to work, gotta earn my money. But you wanna pay people because, everybody should get a livable wage if they got a job or not. Now, some people, circumstances, I understand.
Right.
But if you're not trying, or you're not able, if you're able-bodied and you can't, if you're able-bodied and you can't work, but you don't want to, that's on you. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and create your own opportunities. I always preach that to myself. I tell my son, he's 5 years old. I told him that one time. He don't probably understand. Right. I'm like, when you get old enough, you got to create your own opportunities now. Right. I tell my other son, my bonus son, I tell him the same thing. Create your own opportunities. Don't wait for somebody to come in and try to create your opportunity. Go out there, grab the bull by the horns, and make it yourself. Either you succeed or you fail.
Well, see, that's fundamentally when Newt Gingrich did the conflict with America in the early 90s. America, theoretically, is not a place that guarantees that everybody has a nice life. Some people are going to win, some people are going to lose.
That's true.
But it should be a fair opportunity. Everybody goes to a safe, clean school. If you play video games all day, if you bounce a basketball all night, if you cut the fool in school and they put you out and you smoke weed all day, every day, you should have voted for legal weed. But in that case, and if you end up having a rough life, you've got a rough life because you dug that. What'd you say, kid? But see, okay. you created a rough situation. So everybody's not going to win. But if you turn around and say, in that case, I can look back and I can say that it's a fair opportunity I didn't achieve. And see, that's why even when and then Keith, we're not even talking about the schools. I mean, when I graduated from Ward County High School, half the teachers there were black. Now you have like 2 or 3 black teachers, right? And then, of course, I mean, that's a whole school choice thing. That's a whole other issue. But Keith, I'm glad we chopped it up, man. Hey. But listen, I'm telling you right now, don't call me about nothing unless you said, Ted, I just got the check that's cleared the bank.
Let me tell you something. Underrated. This man right here, Ted Saddler's underrated, y'all.
I know, right?
If you guys, all you guys around here, Work County, Sylvester, all been in Southwest Georgia, if you know Ted, he's very underrated. I try to tell my buddies up in Atlanta, I say, if you got down South Georgia, y'all need to get in contact with. He knows his stuff. He's good on rural policy. And this is our Achilles heel also, not just white women, but rural policy.
Oh, goodness.
And we don't have anybody up there. Mike Thurman, I like Mike. Mike closest thing
Mike
to
Thurman,
it.
whose brother is my neighbor. God rest his soul, Charles Thurman.
Y'all heard that? Heard that? You know what I'm saying? So outside of that person, you all soft. You're in tough re-election. You keep bringing in all the outside people in to help your campaign. It's not going to work. Even, okay, you get a few Atlanta people. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to bounce it out. You got to get some people who down here in the sticks who knows what will appeal, what will not appeal. This is still an agricultural state.
Hey, listen, now we're at the 33rd minute. Nobody watched this long, so might as well go. James Carville, a genius with Stephanopoulos of the Bill Clinton campaign. Carville said, I gotta give James Carville a voice from Louisiana. He says, like, the problem with the Democratic Party is it's being run by preachy women. So I'm not saying I like women, I love women, but at the same time, you have to have balance. And Ms. Abrams, he would sit back and say, well, hey, you can't have, remember that one year where everybody running for constitutional office were all women?
Yeah, I remember.
Remember that year? But see, you got to have some balance. I made a video earlier today. Here in South Georgia, like it or not, you got to have some white males. You got to
True.
have some rural. You got to have some urban. You got to have some suburban. You got to have people who disagree with you on things. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, and that's why what really is off-putting about the Republican Party is just so everybody who is just the same, right? But I'm trying to tell you, so if the Republicans, and I will say this honestly, let's be practical. I'm not advocating for, Keith was a Democratic Party official. I haven't been to a Democratic Party meeting in 30 years. But I will say this, if you look over and say, it's not our job to promote any political party.
Right.
As Americans, it's our job to form a more perfect union. So if you look over and if a Republican came to me and said, you know what, I really wish I knew more about the whole community. And of course, when Republicans, listen, at the end of the Civil War, they made a decision to how to deal with the former slaves. Frederick Douglass wasn't there. Nobody black at the table. You can't have people. I would not make a decision involving white men in South Georgia without some white men at the table.
True.
It's just commonsensical.
Common sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right, Keith, we're gonna get out of here. But peace and listen, I'm telling you, if you want to run for office, you got to plan South Georgia.
Yes.
And if you don't, eventually